Welcome to the Rustic Garden. Today is July 19th. It's the evening, and in this tour I'm going to show you the entire garden and just show you everything that is growing and developing. I'm really happy with the production of the garden this year. This is my Bradley tomato. You can see all the large tomatoes in there. It's a great variety for a container. This is about a 12-gallon container in there. Coming across this way, I'm also going to talk about the plants you can actually get started now. Middle of July, some warm weather crops can go in the ground. You can start thinking about the cool weather crops. Back here, I am starting some small cherries, a wild cherry, Matt's wild cherry, and then some dwarf varieties. They will mature if I get them started now. As long as you have a frost date that falls somewhere towards the end of October, you have time to get in another rotation of tomato plants. Not the indeterminate type that take 90 days, 120 days, but any short season determinates, 55, 60 days. The dwarf tomatoes definitely, and cherry plants, even though they're indeterminate, grow really fast. You could actually drop more in the ground. These are all of my container tomatoes. You've seen them dealing with disease. Some of them are dying out. The leaf spot's still present, but under control, and just really got tons of tomatoes there. I'm really happy with that. Cucumber plants, these can be grown in about 10, 12-gallon containers, and you can see the cucumbers are starting right down there. I'll be doing videos on this, but one tip for your cucumbers and beans, I'll talk about this too when I get down into the earth beds. If you gently spray the undersides of your leaves, you can go a long way in keeping pests off of your cucumber plants, off of your bean plants. And what you're doing is you're washing off a lot of times aphids, spider mites, weak insects, because they start sometimes on a single leaf and they don't crawl really quickly up here. They just slowly reproduce and work their way up. So if you rinse them once or twice a week, you will knock down some of the weaker insects and you won't get an infestation and you have less harm to your plant. These are Tiny Tim tomatoes ready to be picked, and again, just started 2 days ago the dwarf variety Tiny Tim seeds so that I will get more of these come fall. The eggplant are doing really well in containers. If you ever notice little holes in your eggplant all over, I don't have any now. That's from flea beetles. And if you drop in some dust, rinse it off, come the morning, that will take care of flea beetles. Did a video on the herbs that I planted on here, and it's a great idea to have herb containers close to your house because you can just walk out here and pick them when you need to. I want to go over to the pepper garden this way. Oh, and basil, I talked about this before. This is all seed started basil. 1 or 2 packs cost you $4 and you can have literally hundreds of plants. And I have basil everywhere. One of the things I said is plant it at different times. Every 2 weeks, drop some more seed and you'll have an ongoing supply of basil throughout the year. This is another really successful container tomato. This is Mountain Gold. I believe it's a determinate variety. I have to look it up, but I think it is. And you can just see all the massive tomatoes on there. And one of the clues is when you get a bunch of tomatoes at once, the size of the plant stops. That's typically related to a dwarf tomato type, but I'll double check it and talk about it in another video. It's fending off leaf spot okay. It's kind of deactivated its growth on these plants, and the sulfur spray is doing well. This is one of my pepper gardens. Mixes of hot peppers and sweet peppers. Habanero down there, or that's a Scotch bonnet actually. This is my orange Cayenne. They're dark green of course, but they will be turning orange soon. Hungarian wax. I like to wait for them to go from yellow to the orange color. They're still hot, but they're nice and sweet. I think I've got jalapenos in here. They're ready to be picked. This is my red Cayenne. They're starting to turn, but just loads of pepper. Pepperoncinis right in there. Golden peppercini, that's a hot pepper. Cubanelle, banana peppers. These are Mad Hatters. This is the first time I'm growing them this year, and it looks like I'm going to have maybe hundreds of peppers on there. That's really nice. Poblanos or anchos. That is an Anaheim sitting right down there. So things are going really well at the Rustic Garden. I'm very, very grateful and happy to have that. This is another All America Selections winner. That's called Pretty and Sweet. Tossed in a bush scallop up there. We'll come across this way. One of the plants, or one of the trees I've had trouble with is an apple. It always gets a disease. Tried to spray on it this year and I killed off the leaves. Talk about that in the future in some other video. Wildflowers, so to speak, I don't really tend these, but I put in lots of flowers. And I want to go up here and talk about a bird bath, because people ask me, what do you do to keep birds from pecking your tomatoes? And it may sound sort of like contraindicated that you want to bring in water to maybe bring in more birds, but if you set up a bird bath, you'll get more birds coming to your garden, but they'll drink from there and they're not going to get thirsty and they're not going to go and peck holes in your tomato plants. Let's get back down here. Here's a view of the garden from up on the hill. So much going on. We're going to talk about that vertical container there because it's actually really impressive. Before I recommend products, I like to test them out. That's from Greenstock. It's a really great vertical container system, but I'll be talking about that more in depth in another video. Quick shot of the garden there. More container tomatoes, more basil in there. That's the Hans Gelba. More Tiny Tims. They're all going to be getting in there. That's a Subarctic Max, looking good. Early Girl, just loaded with tomatoes. Here's another cucumber. I think this is, well, I know what it is. It's Persian or Parisian, yeah, gherkin. I guess I don't know what it is. Again, I watered everything this evening. Get under here, gently spray under the leaves, and you can really knock off a lot of insects that may cause trouble. So some plants you can drop now, middle of July. Those are Blue Lake beans. They went in about 4 days ago. They should be popping up. And plant your beans and stuff in waves. I've got some more, you know, back there already growing up the stalk. Plant them in waves. This way you're not getting everything at once, but you'll get them, you know, over the growing season. And beans will do really well. They'll germinate quickly in the July heat. They'll get established, they'll get growing, and they can last, you know, well into October. Sometimes they can even take a light frost. Lots of kale. Same thing with the kale. A couple of holes in there. This is doing pretty well. Last year when I did this, you saw all these white flies coming out. This year I've been staying up on it by simply washing the undersides of the leaves 2 times a week. It knocks down the weaker insects and they can't get established. More green beans. They're going to start producing soon. I'll be harvesting these while the ones I just showed you, you know, start growing or start germinating and get growing. Here are Blue Lakes, the ones I just showed you that I planted 4 days ago. These are starting to mature right now. Same variety, planted, let's see if I have a date on there. I don't, but it was a while ago. Just dropped in a new cucumber plant, a gray zook in there on, I think it was mid-June, doing well. Dropped in a tomato plant last week. That's a determinate variety that's supposed to be heat tolerant. And again, stagger your plantings of tomatoes if you have a long growing season and if you want more. Of course, if you have a short growing season, you want to get them all in at once. And if you're not growing a lot of tomatoes, you don't really have to stagger. But when you're growing as many as I am, you just don't want 500 pounds of tomatoes all maturing at once. This is the Greenstock vertical growing system. I'm going to be doing a whole video on this and vertical growing. But look at just, I have at least 15 peppers in it, I don't even remember. Doing extremely well. Those are purple beauties. Those are seeds I sell in my seed shop. More orange Cayennes, YOLO Wonder. These are all actually plants I sell, seeds I sell. But just look at how effective this system is. I'm really, really impressed by it. If you're interested in it, you can check out my description for a link. Hops is doing well. If anybody knows how to tell when hops flowers are ready to be picked, I would appreciate it. I was able to get it growing. They've flowered. There's hops on there, but I'm not sure when you actually pick them, to be perfectly honest with you. This is an Ace 55. This is a great container tomato, and it really does well in the heat. Really good size. This is a Floridade. Bred for the heat too. Just look at all the tomatoes on there. Again, I talked in the last tour about having your wildflowers. They're doing really well. These are my Goji Berries. The fig is getting huge. I am working with All America Selections on their YouTube channel, Flowers and Vegetables. If you want to check that out, I'll put it in a link. We're doing garden videos there, and there's no ads, so you can just go and get the garden information you want. And I'm going to be doing 20 or 30 videos for them. All the wildflowers doing really well. Let's get in here. That is asparagus back there. That's actually purple asparagus, and I let most of it go this year. I didn't harvest a whole lot because I wasn't getting that much, so I'm just kind of letting it revitalize itself. Lots of green growth, and this is how the root system establishes itself. So come next spring, I'll have, you know, more asparagus there. Dropped in some different cucumbers, straight 8s. That's National Pickling. They struggled a little bit. This is actually all sunburn. I had them seed started. They were in the shade, and when I put them out here, we had a nearly 100-degree sun heat, and it just pounded them. But they're recovering. And this is a case where I would use some of the chemical fertilizers just to give them a boost, and then I go back to my organic ways. Patio choice, I've been picking those regularly, really prolific. More pepper plants. And again, I think I've mentioned several times, I'm planting peppers really close together this year just to see how closely I can get them and how much more production or yield I can get from them. These are my indeterminate varieties, all doing really well. Pruned out a couple days ago to let the air circulate, manage some leaf spot, but they're doing well. This is my Aussie. That's a small tomato now, but if you look on my Instagram page, I think the third post going back from yesterday, there's like a 2.5 pound tomato in there with a quarter in the middle. That was the Aussie. The Aussie heirloom tomato really produces nice large tomatoes. I'll be doing videos on vertically growing watermelon, and they're doing really well. This is just growing up a cage right now. I'll have to support the fruits. That's a Mountain Merit. It's kind of scraggly looking, but it's developing good sized tomatoes. Fantastico, great container cherry type, great for hanging baskets. Another, let's go just see what this was in case you wanted to know. The variety here, this is an All America Selections, can't read it. Shiny Boy watermelon from All America, well, not from All America Selections, but it was an All America Selections winner. The one over here, again, growing up a cage, that gets about 8 feet. So you want to get varieties of melons that grow somewhere between 8 and maybe 12-foot vines. This is a New Queen, another All America Selection winner, and this is Fairy. This gets 11-foot vines, lots of fruit forming already. It's an All America Selection winner, and you can see how I just created a trellis. It looks crazy, but when it's covered in the watermelon vine, you're not even going to be able to see what it is. There's a really cool looking shell of a beetle that molted. Coming down in here, more tomatoes, and I started snow peas right in there, and you can see that they're starting to come up. It might be a little bit early, but mid-July, late July, you can start peas in Maryland Zone 7 because they will grow nicely through the heat, and then as it starts cooling down later August, September, they'll be established and you'll get a nice fall crop. You just have to time peas the right way because they take about 75 days, and you don't want a frost to come, a regular frost to come and kill them off. In here, I've got a Space Master doing pretty well, climbing up my fig leaves, and I planted some purple potted pole beans that will weave in between the cucumbers. Asian red beans, the yard-long beans, doing really well. And then coming in here, these are more indeterminate tomato varieties. All looking good this year. And just wanted to show you, this is the beefsteak that I'm challenging Callie Kim to. Really nice production. These are different Chef Choice tomatoes. More All America Selection winners. And they're doing really well. The Midnight Snack. All kinds of stuff growing. You know, and I appreciate you guys watching my videos, and I feel like you've seen all these plants start as seedlings or transplants. Here's a space that I'm doing a series on, just feeding the tomatoes here and here with bananas and eggs. And I'll do a video, it's actually probably on the third version of this. But these aren't getting any food. They were sprayed for disease because I get leaf spot and early blight. But I also sunk in, today is, what did I say it was, the 19th? So 7 days ago, dropped in purple pole beans. Look how quickly they grow. So you got plenty of time to drop beans. Have more beans in there, those are rattlesnakes. 7 days already going. More peas down in there. This is okra. Okra can mature in about 55 days. More purple potted beans. So this whole place was planted late. I had garlic all in there. I just took the garlic out. You saw that up on the deck. So I'm putting in some more crops. My composter, all kinds of stuff going on. Another tomato plant. This is my green, my dark zucchini, doing really well. Same thing with this guy, is if you get in under the leaves twice a week and you rinse it with your hose, nice spray, you will go. Actually, the camera battery light's blinking. I hope I get this in. Thanks for watching the video. Please check out my seed shop at www.therustedgarden.com, and thanks again for watching.